Today I'm going to be reading a portion of a chapter from one of my favorite mystics. His name is Neville Goddard. And I really want to share a lot of Neville Goddard's readings on this channel because he's been very enlightening to me in my forward movement in life. He really talks a lot about our mind and how our mind is powerful, our consciousness, how that's where things begin, our emotions, and how we connect those things, what we are conscious of, how we're creating from that. And so I want to read from a part of a chapter in his book, Feeling is the Secret. I'm going to start just by reading the introduction. I'm just going to read a little bit of the chapter because I want to be able to break down a lot of what my interpretation is of what he's saying in these chapters. But we're going to start with the intro of Feeling is the Secret. This book is concerned with the art of realizing your desire. It gives you an account of the mechanisms used in the production of the visible world. It is a small book, but not slight. There is a treasure in it, a clearly defined road of realization of your dreams, where it is possible to carry conviction to another by means of reasoned arguments and detailed instances. This book would be many times its size. It is seldom possible, however, to do so by means of written statements or arguments. Since the suspended judgment, it always seems plausible to say that the author is dishonest or deluded, and therefore his evidence is tainted. Consequently, I have purposely omitted all arguments and testimonials and simply challenged the open-minded reader to practice the law of consciousness as revealed in this book. Personal success will prove far more convincing than all books that could be written on the subject. And that's from Neville in his intro. And I just want to take a moment to say what I feel he's really saying, and what I get from that is when we get information, when we get knowledge, we can store knowledge in our mind and we can be against it or we can be for it. And we can also be influenced by hearing other people who are against or for a subject matter. But where the real power comes is to read about something, if it piques your interest, to apply it and then see how that impacts you and your world and your life. And I think that's where we really get the true testimony or the true definitiveness of a thing for your own personal self is through applying it and seeing how it shows up in your life. And so we're going to go into his first chapter. I'm just going to read a bit from his first chapter and I'll talk about it. And that is chapter 1, Law and its Operation. The world and all within it is man's conditioned consciousness objectified. Consciousness is the cause as well as the substance of the entire world. So it is to consciousness that we must turn if we would discover the secret of creation. Knowledge of the law of consciousness and the method of operating this law will enable you to accomplish all you desire in life. Armed with the working knowledge of this law, you can build and maintain an ideal world. So just for a moment, what I'm finding that he's saying in those moments is that if we come to an understanding that creation comes from our consciousness, then it is more important for us to turn our attention to our consciousness versus what it is that we're being conscious of. First, understanding that it is our consciousness that is where we're creating this happening, and we can choose what we're conscious of. So if we're conscious of all the miserable things that have occurred, all of the negative people or people we define as negative, things we define as negative events, the things that have hurt us, if we put our consciousness there and focus on that, then we tend to have that as a life experience and to continue that. But if we choose to focus on what it is we desire, then even if it hasn't occurred yet, if we focus on our desire and the emotions we will feel from those desires, we are creating then, and we will begin to create from that lens of consciousness or from that stream of consciousness. So it's not to say that we don't know that certain things have happened, but it's like the negative things that have happened, we can flip this and think about what it is we would desire despite what may have happened and put our consciousness to those things, because that's where our power is. Consciousness is the one and only reality, not figuratively, but actually. The reality may for the sake of clarity, be likened to a stream which is divided into two parts, the conscious and the subconscious. In order to intelligently operate the law of consciousness, it is necessary to understand the relationship between the conscious and the subconscious. The conscious is personal and selective. The subconscious is impersonal and non selective. The conscious is the realm of effect. The subconscious is the realm of cause. These two aspects are male and female divisions of consciousness. The conscious is male, the subconscious is female. The conscious generates ideas and impresses these ideas on the subconscious. The subconscious receives the ideas and gives form and expression to them. By this law, first conceiving an idea and then impressing the idea conceived on the consciousness. All things evolve out of consciousness, and without this sequence, there is not anything made that is made. The conscious impresses the subconscious, while the subconscious expresses all that is impressed upon it. The subconscious does not originate ideas, but it accepts as true those which the conscious mind feels to be true, and in a way known only to itself, objectifies the accepted idea. Therefore, through his power of imagination and feel of his freedom to choose the idea he will entertain, man has control over creation. Control of the subconscious is accomplished through control of your ideas and feelings. The mechanism of creation is hidden in the very depth of the subconscious, the female aspect of the womb of creation. And so what I'm taking from this is that we have these two parts, this conscious and the subconscious. When we talk about how we function in life, what we're experiencing, we are feeding our subconscious, which is where we tend to act from, what tends to trigger us, what tends to strike us in a certain way is what's in our subconscious mind. But it comes initially from our conscious mind, what we're conscious of, and what we then attach meaning to in those conscious experiences, it gets fed into our subconscious mind. So I'll say for me, as a young girl, I dealt with a lot of social strife as a kid. And consciously, I began to look at social situations with fear that they weren't safe, that I didn't have a real significant place in the world. And I thought these things consciously. And what it made me feel was a level of sadness, a level of lack of self-worth. And I fed those things into my subconscious mind. So if I fed those things into my subconscious mind, that's where the deep-seated beliefs sit based on our experiences. And so as I traveled through life years later, it doesn't matter if we haven't unraveled that and fed our subconscious something new. A lot of experiences or things that would trigger me or things that would stand out to me would be from my deep-rooted beliefs of not being valuable or, not having a place in the world, because it was at one point fed to me in my conscious mind. And I'll say, the things that tend to really sink into us are the things that have a very strong emotional connection. So the things that we're conscious of, we're experiencing, and when it's a strong emotional connection, that really tends to stick and get fed to our subconscious mind. It's the emotions where they're so important. And so it is important to start to be conscious of the things that we desire and to make sure that we connect a strong emotional connection to it. And I will say, I do know that basically the emotions that I connected with those things I mentioned as a child, they really came from a fear base, very much so fear. But when we're now actively and intentionally being conscious of what it is we desire for better experiences, then it has to be coming from a place of love. And what I do know from personal experience is that love is a stronger emotion than fear. So even if we've experienced things that have caused us fear, it's important to be conscious and start creating from a place of love. That means we can't create things that we desire from a place of fear. We'll get more things that look like fear. But if we connect to love, even if you don't think you have love in your experience in this present moment, to fall back on moments where you have experienced love or what love might make you feel like, and connect with the emotion of that, and to start from creating from that emotion when you think about what it is that you desire. Because our mind doesn't know if we're truly experiencing an event or if we're thinking about it. The body just feels the emotion of it, and we release chemicals based on that. And we feed our subconscious mind based on that. And remember, our subconscious mind is what we're acting from, what we're viewing the world from, how we're functioning now actively. It's going to be from whatever we're holding subconsciously. So it's those deep rooted beliefs now that we have about ourselves that get played out. So it makes a lot of sense, because if you or someone as a young person, for example, and I mentioned being young because oftentimes it's those early on experiences that really hit hard. And so whatever those experiences are that you had as a young person, let's just say they were very devastating experiences and you had a lot of emotional turmoil from those things. But then you grow up and you do these things that on the outside world signify accomplishments. So let's just say you're accomplished in your career or having a family. You have these things, you've achieved and attained these things, but your experience of these things can still look very much like the lower natured feelings and experiences you had as a child. So if it's that you're not good enough, then you could have achieved all of these wonderful things as an adult, but a motivating factor might be that you have to achieve, you have to do, because you just never feel that you're good enough. And so you're never really able to be at the place of enjoying the accomplishments and just relaxing and being with it, or, making a mistake here and there and just being okay with it, because what you're believing about yourself is determining how you're going to feel. So someone who's really coming from a place of not being valuable, but on the outside world, they've made some accomplishments. For many of them, they can never just sit and be with it, because it's like, I have to keep doing this to prove that there's something valuable there, or just running from that emotion of not feeling valuable. It can be an ongoing script, and to make a mistake would really solidify this deep-rooted subconscious belief that you're not valuable. And so it's just a way to really think about that. Think about, what it is that we have in our deepest part of us that we believe. The beliefs about ourselves is really what plays out in this external world, because it's not the things in the external world per se that really is what gives us the joy. It is the belief in who we are, or what we believe deeply, that can make any experience joyful, or it could also make any experience have some kind of negative connotation, because it really the joy comes from inside. It makes a lot of sense. The joy is an internal thing. So it's like it says, some people could be in places that aren't maybe considered the most beautiful place and be full of joy, because in their deep-rooted beliefs, there's this level of joy that's there. Whatever those experiences are that they were conscious of, that they connected with. And there could be a person who has all of what you would think are the things that will make a person happy, and they could be miserable because of what's going on in their deep-rooted beliefs in the subconscious mind. So we're going to stop there. Share in the comments what you think about that. If that resonates with you. And I'll continue reading. Again, I'll be back reading more on this. Please hit like and share this video, and hit notifications so you can be notified when I bring the next video. Okay, have a very enjoyable evening in a conscious way. Take care.